Hey guys, today we're taking a look at a Necrophos replay. Flash in here. Legend 2, I think. Yeah, Legend 2, this game is a bit of a variety here. It looks like, what is this, Archon? Yeah, so like an Archon average game. Um, so this time, usual blah blah blah, I'm usually a support player, don't know as much about Necrophos specifically. Uh, but this time, I will say though that I have played this matchup um, as the Dark Willow a lot. Dark Willow plus Necrophos. I've seen when he was more popular. I've played with a lot of Necrophos offlane, so I think I do have at least some idea of what should be done, and I can help with that. But more than that, in the post, you specifically asked about, you set these pressuring and objective goals, which I really liked. Because I think a lot of people, when they make posts, are like, how do I play this hero better? Or like, what could I have done? Which, I mean, this is kind of similar, same lines, but I think it's even now in my support games, I feel like I'm losing games because I have cores who like don't move around the map properly. So I like that you're thinking about that already, and if you can get that down, it'll like really skyrocket you up. Um, so I think I can help with that. So we're gonna take a watch at this game. I watched it briefly, kind of like sped through it, had some ideas. We're gonna focus on the early parts of the game because I think that's where you had more chance to make an impact than later. Essentially, if you clean up your early game decisions, then the late game gets easier, right? The better you do early game, the more mistakes you can make later. And it's hard for me to, especially this game was like 60 minutes, right? So it's hard to like start discussing like 40-minute plus game decisions when like if you make some earlier decisions better, then you're no longer in the same situation. So it's kind of like it's easier to address the beginning, and then once you have a solid beginning, then you discuss like the different outcomes from there, as opposed to like having a bad beginning and then talking about all of those when really you're trying to avoid all of those by having a good start instead. Items, I think this is fine. I'm not gonna critique too much again. Not that much of an offlane player. And Necrophos isn't that popular right now, so I don't know what's like the peak of efficiency, right? But this looks alright to me. 6 tangos, self. This is a decent amount of damage. My only concern is that this will build into a null talisman, which a lot of times the offlaner doesn't get a chance to use the courier. Maybe at this MMR, maybe it's a little more free to use the courier, but since you're already thinking ahead of, lane pressuring and overall objective pressure, I would also challenge you then to think about the fact that what items can you build that you don't need the courier? And I do still see people build null talismans from the offlane, so like that's fine, but just saying, like, think about it. Okay, nothing's happening yet. I'm okay with you guys like sort of peeking this way. I'm a big fan of like moving down further to take a look, try to spot out wards and stuff. Like clicking these heroes right now to see what they've got. Um, yeah, we're not gonna worry about that too much. So this is the first thing I'm gonna comment. If there are actually people who watch all the videos I post, I say this a lot, right? About blocking creeps at the very start. In this case, it's going to work out for you. Well, let's play it first. So you blocked a little bit, now she's blocking a little bit, and the creeps ended up here anyways, right? So if you hadn't blocked at all, if both sides don't block at all, this is about where it'll end up. It's kind of like rock, paper, scissors, right? Where unless you place a ward, like if you're off lane, if you place a ward here, or you have the 4 position scouted or something, or if you're safe lane, you put a ward here, same thing, a support scouts it. So this is the outcome if no one blocks, right? If only you block, then it meets a little further up here, and if only they block, then it goes under their tower. In my opinion, having the creep wave, the very first creep wave, go under their tower is really bad for the safe lane. Yes, they'll hit level 2 sooner than you probably, but because all the creeps die really quickly under tower, it ends up pushing and the equilibrium resets here. And as long as the offlane starts to clear off creeps quickly from here and establish the balance to be here and not let it push all the way back under their tower and then rubber band all the way back. I think it's very good to get your creeps under the tower. And if no one touches the creeps at all and they meet here, this is quite easy to mess up the equilibrium, right? If you walk over, aggro these creeps backwards, these creeps are very frequently going to move forward under tower. Sometimes they'll chase a bit, but in that case, then like you've still messed up equilibrium a bit, and they're gonna do something about it. And I think it's what I'm getting at is I think it's generally a good idea to not block as the offlaner, because either you meet here, you get under tower, or I mean those are your two options, right? And those are both like okay for you if you're not getting tri-lined, which you're not this game, right? Some games you kind of know when you're getting tri-lined. Technically they could with Earth Spirit, but that's kind of why you scout a little bit to see. And if you're not getting tri-laned, then I think it's a good idea not to block. If you are getting tri-laned, then I do think blocking is a good idea and trying to get it as far back as you possibly can. And I said I wasn't going to comment too much at the start, but I lied. I'm going to. This, I don't like that you walk here. So, let me get back to player perspective. Okay, so you kind of pull the creeps awkwardly here, right? And notice, so you see how this creep attacked him? It's because he's already clicked you. And that's kind of what you want, is for these creeps to attack him. So I don't like that you then start walking over here, because now he's free to auto-attack you, and no creeps are going to aggro to him. So I'd much rather you be somewhere in this lane here, because then if he wants to just right-click you amidst the creeps, all the creeps are going to turn to him and hit him. And that's generally favorable for you, because their creeps, assuming you haven't started right-clicking the enemy, their creeps are still going to be hitting your creeps, and your creeps are not. They're hitting the enemy hero, which is great, because that means the lane is pushing, and your creeps are damaging the enemy hero. So it would have been better to run this way, towards this tree line. That way, if he still chases you, and a lot of people, even I do it sometimes, get lazy where, like, instead of, like, clicking over to this Mirana and then clicking her when I'm actually in range, I, like, right-click her for my hero to run over to hit her, and that pulls all the creeps when it shouldn't. And I promise you, at this MMR, it's probably still quite similar. So, staying near the creeps to draw the aggro to the enemy heroes would be better than this. And now you're, like, you make this awkward trek, like, all the way over here. For some reason, Lifestealer also joins the chase. And now it's kind of funny because Dark Will is doing what you want to do. You want to sit there and hit creeps while she like runs them around. So it's kind of weird. I don't like the Heartstopper aura because I mean it's just very little damage to them at this point, right? And if you think about what Death Pulse allows you to do, it both damages and heals you, right? So thinking back to that like him being in the creep wave and getting hit, right? What you do in those situations as Necrophos is you auto attack your own. Sometimes you can trade it with him, right? But usually what you see more is the Necrophos auto attacks the enemy creeps, sets them all up to then Q and kill a lot of them, and at the same time it damages the enemy heroes, right? And heals your own creeps. So now you have a creep advantage, right? Let's say you have 4 to their 2, right? You set up 2 creeps to be killed by the Q. Now, if they continue to try to trade on top of you, you have more creeps damaging them, and not so many. Now it's safe for you to trade with them, because even though you're going to aggro creeps, it's only 2 creeps. And that's just generally favorable for you. You heal up some of the damage they were harassing you. If anytime level 2 or onwards, you'll also heal a bit from this. But level 1, I think it's just good to have this to secure some of the range creeps. Maybe, 100 damage. The only person who's going to have a chance at denying you between a right click and a Q is like Treant, right? So I think it's just a valuable spell to take level 1 more so than Heartstopper. Especially since they nerfed it. Not that it was like an early game spell anyways. Now this is good. He's taking a lot of damage from creeps, and both of you are right-clicking. I think that's good. You might want to look for like some of those denies. It's like an okay stick game. It's good because Zeus is in the game, but in this lane in particular, Ogre and Lifestealer, they don't cast that many spells. But it's alright. Both, nice. So due to a mix of their own bad plays, right? I actually think pulling is kind of okay in this situation. The Lifestealer here getting like rooted on his own. I don't know what's going on there. But this is going to be the start of you guys like snowballing the lead and me critiquing what you buy with that lead, right? Because remember, your whole goal was pressuring and objectives, right? So before I unpause and before I tell you the answer, right? What early game item lets you pressure? And you did pressure / objectives, but really, honestly, those two are very often the same thing. If you're pressuring, it's because you're pressuring an objective, right? Pressure is never, I'm stealing their jungle creeps. That's so useless, right? It's not totally useless, but like, it's not pressure. Taking buildings is what makes people react to you and creates that sense of space that you've moved heroes around. So think about what early game item lets you do that, right? I'm going to wait till you actually buy some items before going into it, because I want you to think about it real quick. So this is good. What you're doing in lane is good.
Never had a chance.
Also think about why that item is good in this lane. If that gives you a hint. It probably doesn't really. Also, I will say, this is not the item I was talking about, but a Midas for you, since you're like rocking this lane, could be kind of good for you, honestly, because you have a Spectre, right? So this is a pretty safe game for you to go late. Although, having said that, Midas does not really fit your idea of early pressure, moving around the map kind of thing, right? It's more of a solo farm thing, but sometimes that works for creating pressure, especially when you have like such a good start. But let's not worry about that too much right now. I don't know why. Doesn't he have like rage? Like, why wouldn't he get that? I don't know. That's a mistake on his part. Oh, so what I was gonna say, you did buy boots. I missed this. I noticed it when I was like briefly watching, and then I forgot to say it here. Where are you running to that needs boots so quickly? Right? Think about, you're a ranged hero. You're 2 ranged heroes for 2 melee heroes. So they're the ones that need to run up to you if they want to hit you, right? You are free to like auto attack them in the creep wave and like walk away a bit if they like start getting close. Also think about how they've been damaging you, right? Ogre has just been running up to you and hitting you, right? Yeah, he has some spells, but really Ogre's thing is like he runs up and hits you with his club. And Lifestealer is like straight physical damage early game pretty much, right? What I'm getting at is that phase boots would have been really nice for you this game, because of the armor and bonus movement speed to move around a little more, like dodge some rolls or something, you know, get out of Nimbus, which he's inevitably going to buy. Just general movement. Necrophos does have a lot of like boots options, right? It's generally like treads, power treads, phase boots, or go into arcanes into guardian greaves, right? So you kind of have to decide what you're gonna buy. You don't want it to be wasteful. And since I watched this game, I know you have some weird boots purchases this game, right? So first off, I'll say treads has dropped off a lot. I think almost everyone buys phase boots on this hero unless they think they need greaves. So power treads were nice, right? They give you attack speed, you have a attack damage talent, all the stats, blah blah blah, quite nice. But I think phase boots is generally just better on offlaners a lot nowadays. The additional movement speed, which is a little reduced on a ranged hero, but just the armor, some damage. It's mainly the armor. right? That just like opens you up to being a lot more effective when you trade. And the thing with heroes like Necrophos who have a heal and high regen, this is why like Ogre is such a scary laner, right? Because not only does he have high regen, he has high armor. So he has high base regen, high base armor. So when you attack him, it does very little, and then he's healing it, which essentially leads to high effective HP. Taking into consideration, like, oh, it's not just that he has 1,000 HP, but he also has this physical resistance that essentially makes it 1,500 HP. So then when you think about HP regen, like instead of regenerating just 2 HP per second, you then think, oh, you also take into account the armor, so really you're healing like 3 HP per second. So when you buy these kind of like armor items, why does it say range creep? When you buy armor items and magic resist on Necrophos, you're increasing the fact that you're getting more effective heal from his heal. Instead of just healing for 100, 60 at level 1, you're adding in some of his resistances and so on. So that's kind of why phase boots are good in general. Guardian Greaves, similar, but this is more of a team fight item. It's not bad this game. There's a silence that you can get rid of, and it's a good like group and push. You kind of need to decide as Necrophos or any hero what boots you're going to get, but in this case Necrophos, right? Are you going to get phase boots, power treads, or Guardian Greaves? Because in this game you get power treads and later go back for Guardian Greaves, which I don't like. If you know you're going to get Guardian Greaves this game, then you should just kind of like commit to that. Skip the power treads, stick at brown boots, work on some other stuff. Oh, but the item. So phase boots is one of them. The other item I will now tell you is Ring of Basilius. I think it's going to be a lot more common at TI. I think you're going to see a lot of pros start to do this because this item has been getting buffed a bit. And like, take a look at it. It's 500 gold, right? Null Talisman is 515, so 15 gold cheaper. You can buy one of the components in the side shop. Guess what? It is the Ring of Protection, 2 extra armor in lane that you can buy from the side shop. Pretty nice against the all physical lane, right? More importantly, Ring of Basilius is a very good tower pushing item because it gives all your creeps 2 extra armor, which lets each melee creep tank 1 extra tower hit. That sounds not a lot, but it is. Essentially, like, say you have 4 creeps that get there, the tower takes 4 extra hits to kill each creep. You get off 3 more auto attacks, right? And the creeps all also get off their like small extra auto attacks. It's just something that like, it's like small, but it's actually like a bigger effect than is easy to see. So just a casual Ring of Basilius too. You don't need to buy the Vlads. You're a ranged hero, right? That doesn't really right click. But you get some mana regen, you get the armor, and you get the tower push. And this would be really helpful for you in your goal to pressure and take objectives. When your creeps survive longer, you get objectives faster. And then take into account that you then heal your creeps, right? This is very unique to Necrophos. Only a few heroes have AoE heals like this. All of your heals become more effective by giving armor to your allies around you. So even though it's a dead end item for you, right? So is a Null Talisman, and it's cheaper. So, you know, if you have to pick one, I really think a Ring of Basilius is quite nice. And you're also not you're not the mid Necrophos this game, so you're not doing magic damage, which is what Null Talisman helps you out with, right? So you're getting 8 extra damage from the Basilius, 6 from a Null Talisman, so you have more damage. You have a little less health and movement speed, armor, that kind of stuff, but it's not like a huge deal. And your spell amp is not that big either, really, at this point. You know, you're 3% spell amping 100, you know, so it's like 3 extra damage. It's not a huge deal. It's a lot easier to get that damage from like a couple extra right clicks. I don't know why all these trades keep working out for you. I don't think they should be like trading with you that much. This you're not gonna kill the ogre at this point. You just want to like go back to lane as quickly as you can. It's not that big of a deal, I guess. Like, see how rich you are this game? You could have gotten to Midas by like 6 to 8 minutes, I think, if you wanted to be greedy like that. It's okay that you're not. Here's the thing. Where are you walking to? You're walking to your thing? Okay, sure. Where are you going now? What are you doing? Let's go back. And 20 seconds. Okay. So you left this for 20 seconds. Look how many creeps you have right now. Yeah, some ranged creeps. 3 of them, which is quite nice. And several melee creeps. Most importantly, you have this guy right here. This is the catapult. This is the lane pressure, right? You'll see a lot of teams make plays around the 5, 10, whatever minute mark where these catapults come out. That's because catapults just do extra damage to towers. So it's very important to keep the catapult alive and to let it attack the tower. So I really dislike that you walk away here, even though you're meeting the courier. Like, the courier will still meet you here. I would much rather you... Let's see, let's back up a little. I would much rather you aggro these creeps so that they don't hit your range creeps. And then you clear this wave as quickly as you can, possibly using a Q to heal up your creeps too, because once you kill this wave, you'll get to the tower really quickly. Lifestealer has already abandoned this lane, and it's just Ogre. He doesn't have wave clear, right? He's hard to kill, but he also can't, like, do anything to you. So I really think this was the first big opportunity you had to create a lot of lane pressure, and like we just saw you like walked away in a circle here for 20 seconds, and in that time you could have just cleared all these creeps. So instead, we're going to see happen, they kill off your ranged creeps, one of them. Now the tower starts hitting this, and it's hitting the creeps, but not, the catapult isn't hitting the tower, right? If you had aggroed the creeps, your creeps would have followed them, so none of them go under tower yet until all the creeps die. So what have you lost? You've lost 1 melee creep, 1 ranged creep so far. This one's about to die too, so really 2 melee creeps. Now the tower has started hitting them, and they're still focusing creeps. You come here, you get this last hit, I think. I wasn't actually watching it. And their catapult's still alive. Your catapult is alive. These 2 range creeps are alive, but the range creeps are going to die really quickly. Right? We see the tower killing them off. And you get kind of lucky that the next creeps come up in time. So look how much damage your catapult has done in this time. You guys are trying to deny your catapult. What are you doing? No! Keep it alive. Look how much damage that did in that time, right? Let's go back. This was essentially a full health tower. And by sheer luck, your catapult didn't die immediately, and it still did about half the tower. So imagine you had bought a Ring of Basilius there, and you had stayed in this lane the whole time, killing off the creep waves, and then running out here, intercepting the next creep wave, or telling Dark Willow to do it, having her pull it over here and then come back. I do that a couple times in my games when we're trying to pressure the tower. I'd pull the creep wave away to ditch it in the jungle. I don't care. Then I come hit the tower. They'll clear the jungle camp and then they'll come back, but odds are the tower's gone at that point. Like, I really think you could have gotten the tower right here. Even without the Ring of Basilius, I think just staying here, walking aggressively towards Ogre, because what's he going to do to you, right? Stun? You don't right-click him. You just walk near him and threaten the fact that you might Q him, then start right-clicking, chasing him, and then a second Q follow-up to kill him, right? And, you don't have Ghost Shroud. I guess this is normal. I guess not a lot of people get Ghost Shroud too quickly. But if you did hit 5 pretty quickly, and if you hadn't left, you would be 5 actually. You could either get another point in Death Pulse to keep the push alive, or get a value point in Ghost Shroud to, you know, he stuns you, the tower starts hitting you, you Ghost Shroud, and you're good. So I think this is your first big chance that you missed. This tower could be dead. Or if not dead, it would be almost dead, and you quickly get the kill afterwards, right? Should be on your perspective. So now you're kind of doing the like intercept creeps thing, but it's like too late now. Your catapult's dead. That's what you can do with Ghost Shroud, TP out, which is good. I kind of think you maybe didn't need to TP out actually though. Or actually, did you pick these up? Yeah, you got the south. So I kind of feel like instead of TPing totally out, maybe you could have just TP'd back to lane or to the shrine and used your south. I don't blame you though. I do that a lot too, where I like, oh, I need to get out, and I TP straight to base instead of like trying to be a little more efficient. I'm gonna point it out, even though I don't always do it either. But it's something I've been working on. I don't like this win lace because it doesn't do anything for you. Again, think what Necrophos does is he just like sits in this lane and just keeps pushing, right? So what do you need that extra movement speed for? You know, walk between creeps like each hit? Not really, right? You would have been at about 800, so you could buy arcanes if you're gonna get Greaves, or a buckler. That would be another cool pushing item if you know you're gonna get a mech. Same deal, right? It gives you armor. Armor is really good for you this game, and the active, which is very cheap, 10 mana, right? An extra 2 armor to all the others. I don't know the math on having a Basilius and a buckler and how many hits that gives you on your creeps, but I can only imagine it helps even more, right? And armor is just really good this game. If you look at it, it's kind of funny because actually their team is quite heavily physical. Lifestealer, Tidehunter, both very physical damage dealers. He amplifies physical damage, and then Earth Spirit and Zeus do a lot of magic, especially Zeus, right? On your team, you're magic, she's magic, she's magic. He has some magic, mainly a physical burst, right? And then a mix of like magic, pure, and physical. But these two are the ones I think you really need to worry about in terms of physical. Why I think armor is more important for you for pressuring this early tower, because in the beginning of the game, a lot of damage is physical. And then later in the game, magic becomes a little more of a concern. And so if you can just survive a bunch of right clicks in the early game, you're just like very terrifying. That's why like Timber is so good, right? He's very weak to magic damage early game, and yet he's still terrifying because a lot of damage at the start of the game comes from right clicks. And so if you can buy a lot of physical armor, then you can be this very like scary presence. And don't worry, I know we're already at 30 minutes and this is an hour-long game. I'm not going to cover the whole game, or at the least I'm just going to like zoom through the end, because once we cover the opportunities you've missed, I don't care as much about the late game, right? Because you wouldn't have gotten there if you had made these like pressure choices differently. And also I don't want to make a 3-hour video. Also, I don't know if you can hear it. It's thundering and raining outside my house right around now, so hopefully it's not too much of an issue in the video. So it's a good pipe game, but I don't think you need it now, right? Because if you're gonna get a pipe so quickly, that means either the enemy team has so much magic damage that it's useful anywhere, but in this case, it's really just Zeus that has a lot of magic damage early. Yes, some, but we're not gonna worry about him too much right now, right? Zeus is the one who's like renowned. He is known for like just outputting crazy amounts of magic damage. Are you going to run around and chase Zeus to get the value out of this pipe? I don't think it's great this game, because I don't think you have a fantastic push lineup, right? You're not like a sniper or like a shadow shaman support, Jakiro. You're not this team that can take towers that quickly by just forcing these engagements. So like running up to Zeus, telling your team to group up, come up to Zeus, is very weird to me, because you might survive a little longer with the pipe, but also what will you guys do early? Nothing really. So this game, if you want to make space and pressure early, you're really looking to act solo or maybe with a support or two, while Spectre farms, like Spectre's going to, and Kunkka can also kind of do his own thing. Push one lane, come join you guys. Like, Kunkka's also going to do his own kind of thing. So really you're looking to play by yourself for a good amount of this starting game, and a lot of the time Zeus is not going to rotate to you, or if he does, I mean, if he does, did you really just buy a pipe for that one moment he comes in, you know? Just for you when maybe your supports aren't even there? It's just like not that useful. So what really would have been cool this game? Phase boots, right? All of that. The Ring of Basilius we talked about. A Veil could actually be pretty good this game. You can't get Radiance because you have a Spectre on your team this time. Veil is cool because you have a lot of magic damages on your team. It also gives you more armor. You see this common trend, right? We're going through more armor. Also gives you some health regen, which combines nicely with Ghost Shroud, along with your natural regen and healing abilities. Combines with that armor factor again. I can't think without actually seeing the items. What else? Mech. How do I feel about an early mech this game? I like the Veil more than mech, if you plan on pressuring, especially since you guys have been doing so well. It's kind of weird to think to get a Veil against a lifestealer, but at the same time, you've killed him like 2 or 3 times already that I don't understand. So what's to say that's not gonna just continue? Blink, you don't really need this game. It's not really one of those kind of games. This is kind of a just be this front wall that just like slowly walks towards them kind of game, and that doesn't require a blink. Blade Mail, sure, I don't think it's that useful. Same with Atos, mainly because the carry can get away from it, and if the carry can get away from Atos, I mean, do you really want to buy an item just to kill supports? Not that much. Force Staff could be okay, but I think like Veil or going for your Guardian Greaves would be your best chat. Or the Yules if you want to do that.
I don't know what I was expecting.
So here we are, 9 minutes. Still don't have this tower yet, right? When I said we could get it around 6 or 7 minutes. I'm gonna fall this time. Get the kill. Man up to it. You have a heal, you're full health. Just get it. I think I already explained why I don't really love power treads. So we're not going to worry about it too much. Ideally you get the last hit. I'm sure you know that. So let's take a look real quick, by the way. You are extremely strong, right? Because he's level 5. Tide 7. I feel like you should be a little higher than that, I guess. But actually, Spectre 7. So overall, your team is just doing very well. They're quite behind. 4 and 5. Ogre's been sitting here absorbing XP. I think you could have bullied him out a little more, but a high-level Ogre is not that scary, right? It is a little scary to run just the 3 of you here, but again, it's working out because they're making some bad plays and you guys are just like straight up ahead. And this is why I think a Veil would be good. You'd be even scarier. Running down here is kind of weird. Just think... What's the best way to say this? An anecdote from my games, right? A lot of times, from between my games and like the pros, right? What's the difference? At my level, a lot of people, if you ask them, like watching a replay or something, they'll come up with the right idea generally. They'll be like, oh, I should have pressured this tower. I should have done whatever. And a lot of times you'll see that happen in the games as well. The difference between like my level and the pros are that my teams take like 5 to 10 seconds to realize, oh, I should be like at this lane. Let me head there now. The pros are like already going there. They're saving those 10 extra seconds. And remember we saw that catapult survive for like a minute and it did half that tower. So if you think about shaving off all these like seconds here and there, that's how you like create that sense of pressure of like if I give a challenge to you every like 5 minutes, it's not as tough as if I give you one every 10 seconds, right? So it's similar in Dota where this creep wave, you like spent, let's get the time. I want to be scientifically factual here. Okay, 10:45. Kill him, that's cool. Kill this guy. That's good. 10:57. Essentially 11 minutes. You were going there. You were going the right way. And then you guys turn around. Alright, walk back. So what was that? That was 20 seconds. And in that time, what happened? Again, you have the catapult. So what do we want with the catapult? We want to save as many creeps as we can and kill the enemy creeps as quickly as we can. We want as many body shields. That's what they are. They're just there to tank tower hits while this catapult hits the tower. So look how many creeps you have dying here because they actually have the advantage in creeps here. So you're losing all your creeps. And now your catapult's at like 1 tower hit will kill it now. And you'll heal it up a bit. It's not that much. Oh, you'll just see it. I was going to explain something. But like, it may look like, oh, well now I have like the same amount of creeps anyways. But that's because the next wave met up. And really what should have happened is you kill that first wave. The original wave that died meets up with the other wave. And then these creeps now join in. So now you have 2 waves. And then while they're here, you kill this wave quickly, right? Then the third wave gets to here while your creeps are under tower already. So you'd have 3 creep waves. Whereas now you're going to have about 2, maybe. It's more like 1.5. And also it's just that time sense of like, you'd be around here right now. You'd be at their steps, forcing something now instead of like a minute later. He's at a minute to farm or something like that, you know? Where'd you go? And then you like walked away again and let the creeps like start to die again. I know you can't like change anything as a replay, but just pointing it out. And you want to keep that guy alive, I think, because you have this heal. So let's see how much damage you get here. They're all top. You should be able to get this. Don't do it. You have a heal. And you can see all 4 of them are top. You're not going to die, right? You could get super low and nothing's going to happen to you. Well, I guess you have to be a little worried of Zeus ult maybe. But when did he use it? He used it a bit ago. I don't know if you were keeping track of that. I'm like totally lost in a replay because I'm pausing and rewinding. But if you were able to keep track of that and understand that surprise burst isn't coming, and I also have a cloak and I could switch to power treads, and I have this heal. Goodbye catapult. If you had stood here and tanked those creeps, then you would have these creeps would then join under the tower. So the tower is hitting you, you tank the creeps, kill it. Well, you probably won't kill them, but you'll like Q the wave, heal up a little bit, auto attack creeps. Once these melee creeps get under tower range, you de-aggro off, you de-aggro the tower and these creeps off onto them. You auto attack the creeps really quickly, Q them again. It's pretty short cooldown at this point. And then your catapult would still be alive. See, it got to like halfway after all this. This tower would now be dead. And I guess you still get it now. But, now you face tank it. But yeah, that should have been like when you had the catapult. I think you realized there to do it because, oh, now it's low. So it was a little more obvious to do it. But also keep in mind, you also had, I didn't mention this, you had the healing salve and the tangos, right? So if you swap them in instead of like the windlace or like this empty wand, right? You can heal up. So totally worth tanking the tower. And then now you've got this T2 tower, but your catapult's dead. So your pressure is gone because right now you saw a lot of them go top. What you should be doing now is like coming to this T3, and that would be a lot scarier if you had the catapult still alive. But you don't. So you can get creeps up there, which is still nice, but it's not as nice as getting the catapult there. And I also think this is the wrong, well, yeah, this is this is the wrong choice, I think. I think you even took a look, right? You got this. You come up with oh no, you TP'd first and then you didn't. So let's go back. A little further. Free camera. You're just hitting the tower right now, right? Hitting it, hitting it. Now you're gonna clear out these. Alright. This is just like an A click. That's all you were doing that whole time, right? You could A click the tower, and then you would just continue to click those creeps right after. And you could take a look up here to see that they're gonna kill this Earth Spirit. All that we really see left. Lifestealer coming in. Crystal Maiden is low, but Crystal Maiden's not a big deal. Are you TPing already? No, so we should be 10 seconds further back when you now take a look. Okay, you're taking a look now, right? You see a low Crystal Maiden. Where's the rest of your team? A Spectre's here. Oh, I'm sorry, I got confused because it switched colors. So Kunkka is here. Spectre's here. And Crystal Maiden. If Crystal Maiden dies, it's not a big deal. If I saw this fight, you just got it. At this point, I would say maybe it's okay to TP in. Alright? Now they've actually successfully killed someone and she didn't even die. And this guy's about to die. And like that's when you TP in. I feel like the fight was kind of won at this point. And like... yeah, Lifestealer's now here. But Dark Willow could be TPing to this fight instead and now still be like a 4v2. And instead... Look, they even kill him and then you get there, right? So at this point you haven't contributed anything. You now get here. But he's already gone. Now Dark Willow's here too. She hasn't really done anything. The ults. You guys go a little too far and die. 14. Now let's go back again. Let's go back to when you left this bottom lane. 14 minutes is when you ultimately died. I would say by the time you got there and a little bit, 13:30, you still hadn't really done anything. So what if your catapult should still be alive now, right? I explained that part of keeping him alive. So now, with a live catapult, you would come down here, you'd kill this wave. You'd also have slightly bigger creep wave, I think, if you had also like compounded it along the way, right? Doing what I said. So right now, I think you would have a slightly bigger creep wave and the catapult. You'd kill these off, and you'd be hitting the T3 tower at 14 minutes. Tide already TP'd in up here. So right now you have an Earth Spirit. Earth Spirit can't stop you. In fact, if you look at them, who can stop you? You chased Lifestealer out of lane, right? Lifestealer and Ogre. And Tidehunter, you two are just going to trade. You're just offlaners, right? It's kind of hard to get a solo kill on each other. Earth Spirit, again, he's just a support and he's under leveled too. Zeus is really the only one who could keep you away because he's got like such fantastic wave clear and his magic damage is really like your getaway is Ghost Shroud and he counters that. So Zeus is the only one that could stop you, and you already saw Zeus top, so you know he can't be here. So really, unless they have multiple heroes here to stop you, no one can do anything to you. And if they bring multiple heroes to you, you have a full team top. You're going to get a free tower, right? So I think the right call here would have been to just keep pushing this lane, and really, you're just not going to leave bottom lane. Again, for the same reasons I pointed out. They need... Only Zeus poses a threat to you, and Zeus is probably going to be like mid, keeping out with Kunkka. It's kind of unusual that he would have already lost his tower at this point. In a normal game, I think he would still be here. But pretty much you just see where Zeus is, and if Zeus is not in the bottom lane, then you are in the bottom lane. Because they need, like, at least 3 of these heroes, maybe even more. We even saw you, like, you and Dark Willow killed 2 on 3, so... They're probably scared to go on you without at least having Zeus there or having like 4 of you. And if they have 4 of you here, then your team is getting stuff everywhere else, and that is space for Spectre, and that's what you want. But by leaving the bottom lane, you've now given up like this bottom lane pressure. You could get this tower down a bit. And that's crazy, right? A Spectre lineup getting tower damage so early. So now he comes down, he feels safe to farm. If you hadn't TP'd up here, right, you got here, the creep wave died, you come over here, jungle a little bit, You see the lifestealer walking to the lane thinking he's going to farm, and you tell him, no, you're not going to farm. I'm going to walk down here. I'm going to attack you. And what are you going to do? You're not going to do anything to me. I'm Necrophos. I'm huge this game, right? And I would have slightly different items that gave me more armor so that he really can't do anything to you, right? And you could have your supports drop you some wards or something, right? It's a little scary being out this far, but really you just like, you retreat to the jungle, you push the wave as far as you can. Once you start seeing some heroes, not just one, multiple heroes, or you see one hero and you don't see somewhere on the minimap other heroes, then you say, okay, it's a little scary right now. I'm going to back up. I come farm these jungle camps, and I'm still being effective with my time. I'm still getting gold. And once it starts pushing out a little further, it's a little safer for you. You'll probably see other heroes by that point. Then you come chase them out, right? But the point is, you have this jungle that you can fall back on. If Lifestealer pushes up here and then you chase him away, where does he fall back on, right? There's nothing to farm in this base, right? He has to farm this jungle. But the jungle is scary because you'll follow him there and he'll kill him. So if he wants to go farm now, he has to go to another lane. He has to walk there probably. Or he has to walk all the way here, which is very inefficient for him. And by the time he gets there, right, by the time he gets here, you'll have already shoved the wave all the way back here. And now he has to run back here. Point is, he's only farming one wave at best and like hesitantly, while you're farming the wave and the jungle creeps. And that's great for you. You're forcing him to stay in this bottom lane and probably getting people to eventually rotate on him, on you, really, which is good for your team. Again, that's space for Spectre, right? If they want to pressure Spectre, then you make use of that space and you pressure this tower, take it. See, we're already approaching, we're at 45 about 15 minutes. I really would be a 3-minute video, 3-hour video at this point. You get the early pipe and you decide to group with your team, I guess. But already at this point, I feel like it's not what you want to do. When I play with Necrophos that are really good, I feel like I just never see them in the game, right? I get them started, and then usually you're not able to get the tier 2 so quickly. But you were this game. So usually what happens is we get the tier 1, and then I leave some wards. I go help out the rest of my team, because I usually play 4, right? And suddenly, sometimes I'll see Necrophos got a kill, or Necrophos got killed, and it's like, oh yeah, there's Necrophos in my game. And then later I check on him, he's got a couple items, he's gotten this tower, and he's like, okay, now I'm here to fight, or something, right? Now that I have a bunch of these items, and, you know, they just brought 4 heroes down, so I came top. I was like, oh, cool, let's push. You're just like this hero that's capable of being solo a lot, and creating a lot of pressure. And I think forcing an early fight, if you can't be solo, that's different, right? If you're unable to be by yourself, then grouping up like this is totally fine. But you literally forced him and Ogre out of lane, right? So right now, you're still very strong solo, and that means you don't need to be with your team. You can be bottom, still doing things on your own. Or if your team decides to go bottom, then you can go top and do things top alone. Or mid, wherever, right? But when you're this strong to be on your own and you could solo bully, like, look, Lifestealer's been able to farm this whole area freely because you left him and you're 4 levels ahead, right? And now he's catching up when he really shouldn't be. Like, couldn't they have gotten this without you? Probably. Granted, I didn't watch the team fight. Didn't you guys die or something? This is kind of weird, but it's working out for you guys. And usually Spectre lineups don't go this well, right? So it's good to pressure, but you also have to remember, like, you also don't even have to go that hard because you can just fall back and, like, you're way in the lead as a Spectre lineup, right? In this game, 10k, that's crazy. I didn't even realize you were that far ahead at this point. 10k ahead on Spectre. The enemy team is usually trying to be like 5k ahead of Spectre at this point, right? So this is 15k the other way. That's nutty. So forcing things too hard is kind of like, it's not, well, actually it is. It's just bad for you guys. If you're this far ahead, you just don't throw the lead away. That's, get ahead, stay ahead. I think I learned that from StarCraft. But now you guys are like staying a little too long. When really it's like, it's okay to back up, heal, and then go back in with like new items. Speeding along. This is a little too deep. I think you guys are looking for kills. I'm zooming really fast so I can't see it, right? But honestly, I'm kind of like almost done with my analysis part. I feel like I could stop around now. What do you get if you find a kill here? Because your creep wave here and here, so the towers aren't even under immediate threat for like another... Top isn't under threat for like 50 seconds. Mid, probably 30 seconds. You do get a kill on Ogre. 32 seconds, see that? So he would just TP mid if you pushed it. So why did you come here looking for a kill? Like, what does it lead to the pressure to the objective is what I'm saying. The other day I played a sniper game. It's pretty uncommon for me to be mid, right, in a pub game. So our creep wave, we were Radiant, our creep wave was about here, and my team wanted to go... Well, I was trying to get my team to just push. We had both these towers to get, and I was like, I see our creeps were being killed by their creeps, so the lane was pushing in their favor, going this way. So I wanted to come here and push the creeps and then just go straight down, but my team ran this way. And we lost the fight, ultimately. Actually, we did win that game, but it was harder than it needed to be. And they were like, why weren't you with us? What is the point of winning a team fight here? Even if we wreck it, right? I had Aegis. That's why my team was annoyed with me. It's because, like, I had Aegis and I wasn't there. Even if we win, what does it matter? Because all the creeps would have been here at that point. By the time we are able to kill the creeps and run all the way back, the entire team would have respawned. So you need to think when you're looking for ganks and, like, if you're looking for a gank, is it because you're trying to set up an objective, or, like, you just need a kill? You're a Legion commander trying to get duels, trying to scare this AI and slow him down. Or are you trying to get a kill so that you're able to take objectives? And your whole post was about taking those objectives, right? So what will this kill lead to if they just respawn in time because your creeps aren't pushing? You need to get the waves to push, and then... In your case, you guys are so ahead, you don't need to look for those ganks. Just, like, force a straightforward fight. Let Spectre farm alone while you guys fight as 4, and then let her haunt in. And then you just rinse and repeat. Not that I think you needed to play like that, but you can this game, and it still would have worked because you were so ahead. You guys have thrown twice now, and you lost 7k. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys were only at 10k, but you still lost 3k, which is, like, unideal, right? How are they winning fights when you guys are 10k ahead? It shouldn't be. I think you guys are getting a little too excited.
Nobody wins.
Yeah, about right. Taking a look at your items. I think I already commented, it's a little weird to now go back for mech. Just a mech on Necrophos is really awkward because of your mana pool, right? Mech is like 225 mana to use. Why doesn't it show on the recipe? Yeah, 225 mana, which is a fifth about of your mana, right? A fourth. And your ult, extremely expensive. So between your ult and mech, you're at about less than half. 200 for a single Q, also very expensive. That's like 3/4 of your mana. Let alone pipe, that's like the rest of it. Ghost Shroud, right? And did you really just want to use this once, right? You want to spam this. So just a mech is very awkward unless you're going to quickly finish the Greaves or you have the Arcanes to like give you more mana. And then Greaves, you lose the mana cost to use it. So now it's great, right? That's why I don't like power treads. Maybe you hadn't thought about it. And if you hadn't thought about it, then I would tell you need to think about what you're going to buy later and to avoid it. But if you had thought about it, it's inefficient because you just don't have the mana. You don't have enough mana to use like all your stuff effectively. Unless you quickly build Greaves afterwards, which is then like makes the power treads useless. Not useless, but like redundant and not as cost effective. So it would have been better to just like go for the Greaves. Also, this windlace is like not as good as a wand or a headdress. How much more do I want to talk? What are we at? We're at about an hour, and I feel like I already covered a lot of pressure that came up. If that's surprising to you, like why I wouldn't cover the rest of this 40-minute game, it's because I think those were your biggest opportunities to have an impact this game, right there. And everything else this game, from what I like quickly saw later, it's just like it's difficult to comment on because I don't want you to be in that situation anyways, I guess. Um, because if you had stayed bottom and were still bottom pressuring, right, you'd be like almost about to get this maybe if no one ever stopped you. And if they did stop you, your Spectre would be free farming, and you guys would probably still have these two objectives without forcing a team fight. Um, I just think this was like your biggest opportunity to make a lot of space. And after this, it ends up being a lot of like awkward team fights. So if you're now at this situation, what I would tell you to do is what I briefly mentioned earlier. Is like 4 of you do something while Spectre farms, and because you're so ahead, it's fine. And if Spectre doesn't have Haunt, then you just wait. You just farm together, farm on their side if you want, farm on your side. Just wait for Spectre to have Haunt, then let Spectre push. Your lineup's a little weird because you don't have anyone who can do Roshan, and honestly, you don't have good tower hitters. That's another reason why this was the biggest opportunity for you to have impact when no one can really stop you from just chipping away towers. Once Zeus is free to respond to you, because that's essentially what happens. You guys get these towers, and then you realize, like, oh, Zeus is always free to, like, defend all 3 of these lanes because he's here. How come it's not? Oh, I'm not in. Once you guys take all the outer towers and you keep trying to siege high ground, right? It's now weird for you because Zeus only has to walk, like, here to here, right? From inside his base, and he can defend all 3 lanes. And now it's very difficult for you to be solo because wherever you go, he stops you, and then he quickly goes and stops the rest of your team as well. It's very difficult. Whereas if you had done this earlier, Zeus would have to give up these lanes to stop your T3 push, and your Kunkka's just gonna like free farm mid lane, kill any supports who show up there, right? No one else can go mid except Zeus. And if everyone goes top lane, Spectre's just gonna leave it and go farm jungle or something, right? So I just think that was I'm just saying it a bunch now, so yeah, that was just your biggest chance to have a big impact. Not that I think you play badly this game, but your itemization, I don't know if I'm going to continue with the rest of the game, but I think you were very undecided on your itemization this game. I think I'm going to talk about this and then probably end it. I saw you constantly picking like different items throughout the game. You were like unsure of what to build. And looking at your final build, all of these are decent items on Necrophos, right? But all of them together is not, because these are all defensive items. And look, that's another thing. You got another pair of boots. You replaced your double power treads with another boot to travel, which sometimes you need to, but I don't think this was one of those. Yules can be used offensively a little bit, right? But this is a defensive item, this is a defensive item, this is a defensive item. BKB was good, but again, it's a bit of a defensive item, which also allows you to be a little more aggressive, but you have no items to be aggressive with besides, like, you're enabled to be aggressive, but cannot, because you only have defensive items. And I think your role this game was to be this, like, frontliner that they need to deal with, otherwise they take a lot of damage, but they also, like, you're a Necrophos. It doesn't feel good to kill you because now there's still a Kunkka running around. There's still like Spectre, and you're constantly healing everyone, so they have to like focus you, and you're so difficult to kill. But when you only have defensive items, they can ignore you, and it's like, oh, we're not really taking damage. We're not getting veiled and taking extra magic damage. We're not getting, I don't know, hexed. We're not getting like Ags ulted, something like that. They can just ignore you, and the best you can do is like fight my team, and that's the one time you can do it in the team fight. And you can try to heal a bit, but I don't know, it's just not ideal. you need like one item to be offensive. And the other thing is you're stacking a bunch of magic resistance, right? You even took the magic resistance talent, but magic resistance stacks multiplicatively. So what that means is like for every magic resistance item you get, it's less effective. So getting so many is like reducing their own effectiveness than what they usually would be. Instead of giving you like 15%, it's giving you like 12 or 10, something like that, you know? And then the fact, like if you stack 2, usually that's like, okay, 2. But you get the talents as well. Then you buy magic immunity too, you know? So it's very awkward. And then when they have Veil and like your own Ghost Shroud increases your magic damage, it's just like very difficult. And like the pipe is good for everyone. This protects you, and then this also only protects you, right? So it doesn't help your team. And so if you're gonna get a pipe, like the reduced cost effectiveness of it all is just like very awkward. I don't even know like how to explain it, but it's awkward. Alternative items. So Radiance is nice, but again, Spectre, you can't get it. Scythe, Shiva's. Shiva's because he depends on just running at people and right-clicking, right? So more armor, more attack slow, very good for you. A Scythe for like pickoffs. Itemization's a little awkward this game. I think a BKB sooner. If I recall, you get Greaves, and I think you get the Yules and then the BKB. I think, let's say you get Phase Boots this game. You go Phase, Veil, Pipe, BKB. And I think you're terrifying. You could even do like Phase, Veil, Yules, BKB. Skipping the Pipe and then getting the Pipe or something. Or getting Pipe instead of BKB, maybe. Ags is also very good. I forgot to say that one, I think. So then like Phase Veil, Pipe Ags, BKB Ags. Or if you decide you want Guardian Greaves, you go see, what'd you buy to start? Oh, you had that, let's say you had that Ring of Basilius maybe. Into probably buy the mech first, then the arcanes, finish the Greaves, then get... See, the Greaves rush feels really awkward now because I think this game you wanted to play solo and that's not what Greaves does for you. So if you had to get Greaves because you're playing for a team, then you would want to get a pipe, and then either like Ags or Yules or something. It's kind of hard. I haven't seen that many Necrophoses, so I feel like my itemization isn't that strong right now for him. In a lot of games you would want a Radiance, especially when you had such a good start, and then you can't because you have a Spectre, so it's like very weird. Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna about end the video. Oh, a Halberd also could have been a very cool item for you because all their physical damages from here usually. I think Tide went some like super right-click meme build this game, or maybe that's just Tide Hunter in general nowadays. Oh no, yeah, he got a Divine. That's funny. It's so weird. Yeah, I think this was I can't remember how you guys lost this game actually. I think you just threw on high ground a couple times. I think there were a couple times where you like chased a bit too far, and just kind of like threw away your lead. And then you guys can never do Roshan because you don't have that. You don't have anyone that like does it quickly. So kind of have to like let them come out of their base and then kill them. But they have a very good team fighting team, and you guys just kind of like did it awkwardly. I don't think I really ever saw Spectre alone and then haunting in, that kind of thing. And you can't control your team, and that's why I'm gonna end the video now, having emphasized that like I think you could have gotten this at like 6 minutes, and ignoring that part, considering you then eventually got it at 9 minutes, and you got this tower at like just before 13 or 14 minutes, I think that could have been done say like if you got this tower at 9 minutes, I guess that was pretty fast, but I think maybe you still could have trimmed off a minute or two. But let's say you had gotten this at 6 minutes, then I think you could have gotten this tower at like 9 minutes. And then you could have been pressuring their tier 3 like 10 minutes or something. And just like no one can stop you. Or if everyone stops you, then the rest of your team free farms, and that's a free farming Spectre, you know? So yeah. I think that's it. If you don't feel like your question was answered, or like you're still uncertain about what you could do this game, then you can let me know and I'll try to answer that. But since I think it's more important to focus, like you're not always going to be playing Necrophos. I think focusing on your own play of like how can I get these towers faster when I'm having this kind of good game. Because if you can't close out good games, then it's even harder to close out bad games, right? It's hard to come back from a bad game. So really look to like speed it up. Protect your catapults. Keep your creep waves alive. Don't get distracted running around too much. Just really think about how do I get this tower faster and force people to like do something about it. And if they don't do anything about it, I get the tower. And that's where I'll stop because I think I'm just going in circles and saying the same things again. Thank you for watching this long. Yeah.